Welcome to the Energy for Life podcast, helping busy women reclaim their energy, innate power, and self-worth. Here is your host, Corona Brady.
Welcome back. Welcome to episode 57 of the Energy for Life podcast show. And I am your host, Corona Brady. Today, I want to talk to you about resistance to change. Are you resisting change right now in your life? I actually decided to hop on today and record this important episode as it's a theme that I've been witnessing over the last couple of weeks. I've been speaking with lots of women who are at a major crossroads in their life. They're feeling really dissatisfied and pretty much all areas of their life is not working. And they've been feeling in this way for some time. If this sounds like you today, by the way, then I encourage you to listen to episode 41 of the Energy for Life podcast. I think that might support you. Many of these women want change so badly, and it's actually why they've personally reached out to me for support. But then at the same time, they don't want it. What do I mean by that? They're resisting and bumping up against this very change they know they need. You know, right now in the Southern Hemisphere, we are literally just days away from spring. And spring is actually personally one of my favorite months. Why is that? Because it's not too hot yet here in Sydney, and it's such a beautiful season of renewal and rebirth. The cycle of transformation is so obvious in spring. Everywhere you look, you will see beautiful signs of the cycle of new beginnings. The seeds in the earth are beginning to awaken during this time, and it's allowing for just beautiful, colourful, vibrant flowers to slowly appear and then just to explode into new life. And the rhythm of the seasons can really teach us a lot about our own life too. And it shows to us the life force of creation. It's constant change. It's constant growth. So let me ask you this really important question today, and do your best to answer it honestly with no judgment, okay? Are you changing, growing, and evolving right now in your life? Or do you feel stuck and stagnant? Change must begin first and foremost with you. The only person that you have the power in changing right now is yourself. And in the words of Gandhi, we actually need to be the change that we want to see and witness in the world. And spring is such a potent time to really focus on you and to do the necessary inner growth work, because the truth is nothing changes until you change within. And let's even look at the meaning of spring. Like the word spring itself means to literally leap forward over obstacles. But our greatest obstacle in moving forward in our life is always, without a doubt, it's fear. And normally it's fear of the unknown or it's fear of change. But this is a kind of catch-22 though, because change and growth, they're qualities that are actually innate to the energy and cycle of life. Change is unavoidable. But here's the thing. How you choose to experience it is always your choice. You can either accept change or you can resist change. You can resist it like crazy. What you choose to resist though, it persists. It grows bigger and bigger until something eventually breaks and snaps. And the most effective way I know to open up to change is to just become so aware, so conscious of what you're actually resisting in the first place. Because until you do that, you're going to stay stuck in that loop. Then once you become aware of why you are resisting change, you then have the power and you have the choice to rise above your stories of fear. And you can then open your mind to this natural flow of change. So I want to share some common reasons with you today why we resist change. And maybe you'll see yourself in all of these. Maybe you'll see yourself in some of them. But the first reason why we resist change as human beings is that we want to feel safe. But what you need to begin to ask yourself is, safe from exactly what? Are you really safe when you choose to cling to what feels familiar? It's actually your nature as a human being to grow and expand. And when you stop growing, you die a very slow death internally. If you can accept change, you can move forward in harmony and balance with the flow of life. On the other hand, however, if you resist it, you will bump up against countless difficulties and challenges. Life will become really difficult and really painful. And when you choose to fight and resist change, what that does is it keeps you locked into mental, emotional, and physical patterns. And these are all patterns based on your past. And as I mentioned above, you start dying a slow death internally from that place. You become so numb to life. And the safest place to live in right now, to choose to reside in, is this present moment. This is the only moment that we have. When you choose to live in that space, this then frees you to create healthy new perceptions. The second reason why we resist change as human beings is that we don't feel that we can be brave. We don't feel that we have the courage, or we don't feel that we're strong enough. And if you look up the word courage, it actually comes from the Latin word cor, meaning heart. And the original definition was to basically tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. Of course, every single one of us has fears. Even the most successful people in the world have fears. Having courage means we don't shy away from these fears. We don't hide ourselves. We don't restrict ourselves. We don't close ourselves off. It means we have the heart to face these fears and to make the changes that we desire to make in our life for the better, even when we are afraid. So we choose to feel the fear and we do it anyway. Does it take strength to make change in your life? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you, or I'm not going to sugarcoat this to you in any way here today. It takes a heck of a lot of strength, and it takes courage, and it takes vulnerability, and it takes will, and it takes determination. But let me tell you this, it takes a lot more of your strength every day to actually resist the turmoil of going against that natural current of change. Really take those words in today. Let them sink into your being. It takes a lot more of your strength to actually resist the turmoil of going against the natural current of change. Place a hand on your heart right now in this moment. And I invite you, if it's safe to do so, to just close your eyes and let yourself drop out of your busy analytical mind and let yourself sink down into your heart. And just think back to all of those times in your life when your strength and your power and your grace as a woman has felt most depleted, and where maybe you felt a victim to your circumstances. Let me ask you this important question today. Has it been when you used your energy to adjust to new challenges, to arise above fear, or when you desperately tried to control your life and your circumstances by staying in the same place? Just reflect on that for a couple of moments, because you might gain some new awareness here today. And remember, if we don't have the awareness, we can't create any change. Awareness is that first step in creating change. Another reason why we resist change is that we want to be comfortable. If you are not moving forward, you're stagnating. And eventually you become stuck in the status quo. And when people want to maintain the status quo, they are often resistant to change, to progress. And change requires breaking those ingrained patterns of behavior that are not serving you. The first step to breaking that automatic habit of the status quo is awareness. is awareness that the habit exists in the first place. Let me ask you this question today. Is it comfortable to feel stuck? And just answer that as honestly as you can. So even though you may feel a little scared and insecure about moving out of that known familiar space, it's incredibly healthy and it's necessary to experience the discomfort that actually comes from growth. Discomfort is experienced because you're bumping up against the boundaries you have simply outgrown. That's all what's happening. And it's just signifying to you that it's time for your mind's knowledge to actually catch up with your heart and soul's wisdom. And when you feel the world is beginning to close in and it's getting smaller and smaller around you, you can't fix the situation by making yourself smaller. However, you can choose to expand. You can choose to open in that moment. That's true growth. That's true evolution. Another reason why we resist change is we don't want to experience confusion. You see, any form of change in your life is going to cause confusion and maybe a little chaos, but it's positive confusion, it's positive chaos, and it's only temporary. And this is such a great blessing, because confusion actually scrambles those fixated thought patterns that you've actually locked yourself into so that you can rearrange them into a new, more positive and supportive system of ideas. Think of the most wonderful experiences and events in your life so far, such as maybe purchasing your first home, or moving into a new home, or receiving a promotion, or setting up your own business, or getting married, or having a baby. I bet you that they all created a temporary state of chaos. But eventually what happened? Things quietened down. But as you look around, you actually see that you're now in this entirely new space. And the last reason that we resist change today that I want to share with you is that we want to avoid pain. Pretty much everything we do in our life as human beings is either to move away from pain or move towards pleasure. So you move away from what you believe is painful and you move towards what you believe is pleasurable. And most of our beliefs are actually created from what we can remember about past experiences, both pleasurable and painful. But the problem is we sometimes don't remember things quite right. And it stands to reason if you're not remembering something right, then that belief it supports is fundamentally flawed too. And if you want to create real lasting change, you actually have to first examine your beliefs. You have to examine those beliefs that are actually causing you to sabotage, that are causing you to stagnate and sabotage your progress from the inside. So in our attempt to avoid the pain of change, many times what will happen is we will hold on to the past. And so many of us are holding on to bags and bags and bags of weight from the past that is literally weighing us down. It is affecting us physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. The parts of the past to which you remain most attached are actually the very ones that typically cause and create the most painful memories. For example, the school teacher that bullied you, or the parent that abandoned you, or the husband who was disloyal, or the friend who betrayed you, and so on. Holding on to these kinds of memories, it's actually going to create self-defeating feelings of shame, guilt, unworthiness, and that then fuels the illusion that you're actually imprisoned in a life with no choices. And what happens is you become a victim to your circumstances. You feel powerless in creating any form of change. Most of the pain you experience in your life, it doesn't come from moving forward. it actually comes from holding yourself back about 99.9%. So if you resonate with any of the above resistance to avoid change right now in your life, simply forgive yourself today. It's time to move on and it's time to move forward.